But that I got enough wisdom, and God bless me, give me the insight, and all this other stuff. Don't matter.
That's right. Thank you, Ms. Vicki.
You're welcome. Those ornaments were hand painted by the art students at the junior high. So on the back of it, it says CPJH and it has the year. So when you get it out each year, you can see.
I looked at the tree, I saw where you posted that, that's really cute.
It's beautiful. Well, that's what I was telling them. I just took the money that I would spend and I donated to them, and because I thought these would make perfect gifts. And so at the end of the season, I'm gonna let all the directors and stuff, pick one off the tree. We have so many that I was thought that would be
That is so
special
sweet.
gifts. So. And the soaps are from my new favorite store downtown.
Downtown.
I just want to let y'all know that we are already live because I already turned it on, not because I meant to, but I did, so.
Yes,
Watching us.
we're being broadcast
Like that's what you tell me.
now. We got the message. Yeah.
Winding down, guys. Timmy, how are you?
I just said it was a no-go on me driving away to Rome from Venice. So you just have to correct that.
I'll have to find him another ride.
Yep.
You screwed down and he walked around.
Yesterday was rough riding home.
Oh, man. They ran 6 miles in Baton Rouge yesterday.
And neither you nor Donna even looked winded at the end. Y'all's pictures were just like.
I had calmed down a little bit. We took that a little while after.
They know how to do it.
Well, how are the whales this afternoon? Are y'all well?
We are good.
Nice to see you. James Wells, you've never been good. Maybe you should be good.
My start.
My start. I've been getting cold all my life.
Are you cold?
No, cold for Christmas.
Cold in the sidewalk.
That and a bag of switches.
I've never had cold, so I don't know. They just really need to push Baton Rouge a little. We need to kind of get you just a little closer, don't we? Baton Rouge, it's closer to Collins.
No, second time we've been lower.
Scott, how are you?
About a year and a half.
There you go. Good night.
There's some big mass in there, some more kid mass and a bunch of
Well, I know, I'm sorry. We're waiting. We're gonna go there. And so it was just me and you. And I was like, yeah.
She what?
They have been with 6-year-old weight all of our coffee and stuff.
Crazy right now too.
That's a little.
Don't knock it off.
That big old car.
Today was her birthday.
We can all watch that.
I knocked that back out the other day. I charged him up.
Still learning, but send back home, put a place somewhere up here.
I learned how.
Hey, Mary, can you hear us?
Yeah.
I can hear you. Good deal.
I finally said, first I thought it was just a mistype, and then she kept saying it really
I know I
Make it. That's what I would do. That's what I do like. Yeah.
There's, I found it, and that yeah, I got it. So I'll do that. I'll get her.
I go to sleep.
Yeah.
We actually went back to mom and dad.
We'll have those.
It's a nice parade. That's great. Good participation, good crowd. They did, they changed around. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
They usually turn, come down to like, Old Main Street, I guess, in front of, Butts.
She's got 19 months old, and then they have an infant day, 5, 6, 7 months old, with a double.
Yeah, they do.
I got you.
So she took.
Normally they
The time I was
do.
in, we lined up over there like going to the
They
bridge.
did that for a little while. She knows how to phone tag.
A few times. Yeah, they were pretty good.
Did, they went crying.
They got dark.
She's dead. Yeah, maybe, so I have to talk to you later.
Yeah, we turned and come out.
She said, I was calling you back. I'll go off this first one.
That's precious.
I usually watch it from my parents' office, and this time was the first time watching it downtown. So it's a little bit different experience. It was
They golf, a lot of people go to the ballpark and watch it. And that's where the church is gonna start.
Oh, yeah, I've never thought about that.
A lot of people watch it from there. Did you?
We watched it all the time. Yeah.
Now, waiter, what's your name, Robert? 6.5.
Right.
That's your 5.15.
That's good. She'll catch on in a little bit and she'll be gone.
Call up our school board meeting to come to order. Mr. King, bless and prayer. Ms. Judy Land and pledge.
Blessed Father in heaven, we truly thank you for this opportunity to come to this meeting, Heavenly Father. Lead us and guide us in the right direction, Lord. We thank you, Lord, for all that you do for us. Let us be forever mindful of those in need, Heavenly Father. These blessings I ask in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call. Randy Rentz.
Here.
Judith Ann McKee.
Here.
Melinda Ballard.
Here.
Baron Glass.
Here. Here.
Maria Bass. Here. Gary Castles.
Here.
James King.
Here. All right. Item A is the executive committee report.
All the checks look like they're in order. Sales taxes were down a little bit this month compared to last year at this time. It's the second time in about a year and a half. So they're all who we are.
All right, any questions? All right, thanks, Randy. All right, item B is approved November 8th, 2021 board meeting.
I make a motion we accept those minutes, please.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Item C is recognize Sequita Jones as Employee of the Month, Mr. Scott Walker from Taylor and Sons.
Thank you guys for having me tonight. I know y'all have had Dr. Freeman the last couple of months. We
Glad to see you.
got stuck with the B team tonight, but happy to be here nonetheless. And Ms. Jones, if you want to come up here, if you'll stand right here. Believe it or not, somebody has some really nice words to say about you. And if it's okay, I'm gonna read them out loud. We're thankful to partner with you guys to recognize Ms. Jones, and I'd like to read what the nomination form had a few topic points on here. It said, Ms. Sequita does an excellent job at Kelly Early Childhood Center. She is a one-woman show and excels in making sure the students are fed according to all of the federal requirements. You can tell she genuinely loves the students, and they love her. We seldom hear anything from her because she is able to manage and take care of feeding these students without any problems. She has been such an asset to the child nutrition program, and we are so thankful to have her on our team. She always goes above and beyond what is expected of her to make sure our students and staff are well fed and don't go without. She is so sweet and makes sure to befriend each one of her coworkers, and she loves being around the children. And she always has a positive attitude. And so it is my pleasure on behalf of Taylor Sons to recognize and congratulate Ms. Sequita Jones, the Employee of the Month.
Hey, Nick,
Yes.
just tell Sequita to stay there. About 18 months of my mother's life, Sequita was there. She took care of her. She did everything that my mother asked her to do. And in her final days, Sequita played her only song for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until she took her last breath. And had it not been for Sequita helping me deal with my mother with the 18 months that we had to deal with her, so the way that the gentleman described her is exactly what she did when she was taking care of my mom. So Sequita, this is very special to me. I wanted to be there, but when you have dual obligation, you have to be, so I have to be in Baton Rouge. But I wanted to make sure that I was able to tell you this personally and publicly, because I know you personally, and you are a very good asset wherever you go. So congratulations.
Thank you, Baron.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
It's with the flag.
Oh, you're right.
Thank you, Ms. Sequita.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. Item D is a resolution to support Caldwell Broadband Committee's efforts to develop a broadband proposal for Gumbo and other funding sources. Simulated school performance score.
Wait,
That's
see.
different.
Ooh.
It's kind of up above.
It is, it
Kind of
is.
with it, but I see it now.
It didn't separate. Let's stop after sources.
I got you.
Mary, do you want to talk a little bit about what this is?
Sure, I will. I represent the school district on the Caldwell Parish Broadband Committee, and it's represented across all the different governmental bodies, and you know, the police jury and everybody is on there. The banks are represented, law firms and so on. And we've been working for a couple of months now, meeting with, the industrial board and et cetera, all really cohesively coming together with, finding ways to access the federal and the state dollars that are available right now for rural areas to acquire good broadband. We're not just talking about throwing up some cell towers. We're talking about trying to get enough funding that we can put fiber out into our communities that are not along the 165 corridor. And the school district has already used E-rate funding last year, or this fiscal year, really, 21-22, to put a backbone of fiber from Caldwell to the school board office and all the way out to Kelly, as you guys are aware. So from that initial, infrastructure that's covering a lot of the parish or getting it there, we can go out from there using one or more companies, and they have hired a team, the police jury has hired a team, they're funding that to help us with grant writing, help us to get our name out there. We're developing our logo. We're going to use this over a series of years into the future as these monies still are coming in. A lot of it's associated with COVID and with the obvious need for broadband connectivity in the rural areas that don't have it. And it's not just for Louisiana, so it's competitive, the monies that we're going to be writing for, and they've got some really pro folks that they're working with out of many of whom I think used to be with CenturyLink, that are well versed in this sort of thing and have already been successful with the tribal groups in getting this funding for them. So we would like to have just a resolution or a statement from the board, and maybe a letter of support that says we support these efforts, not in a financial necessarily way, but in allowing us to use like our calling system to notify all the people that we can reach to say, would you please complete this survey and tell us I don't have internet at my house and this is why, or I have poor internet at my house and this is what's the only thing that's available, because those data will be used to support the grants that we write and to show the real situation in our parish. And it's just a really good, cohesive set of folks that all are supporting this. The industrial board, I met with them the other day at lunch and talked to them, and they are funding the logo because the library's involved, and Tammy wants to continue this into the future and do some community outreach, like, let people come in and learn how to get online, learn more about, computer literacy, basically. So it's not just we're going to do this for a couple of months and that's it. We're going to keep on with it. So we would like to request that the board just give a public statement of support, just so that we can include that and show these folks who are handing out the dollars that we are unified in this effort.
Did it make a difference when you wanted every household to sign up for it? Did it make a difference when we pushed it on Facebook? Did you notice that people did it?
We are using, I personally am a member of 4 people who are on the team within the committee who is doing marketing and also, communications. So that's a piece. We have different teams within the committee who work on different aspects. But we have not had a huge, wide request for that. But if you're talking about the EBB, the one that each household can request support for their bill, where they can get $50 off their, or reimbursed, I don't have any of that data. It's more like an individual household applies. I don't think it's been huge though. And we really want to blanket communicate this through the Watchman. Tammy is going at Hartsfield is going to literally allow people to call in if they don't have internet, and maybe elderly folks or people who live way out, call and just tell her their answers to the questions, and she's going to input it, because we have a survey and we have one for businesses as well, so we can say, hey, our businesses in our communities need this support too, and so We did send out a flyer last week the week
Do you
before
know the results of
Thanksgiving.
that? Cause I know we
I
pushed it
know
on
we
our
were
Facebook
getting,
and in our
we
newsletter.
had gotten a little over 100 responses to the survey at that point. We're gonna do some calls with the text link if you've opted into texting for parents. But we reach a few over 5,000 if we do it, as quote, an emergency call, which means it calls both custodial people, whether that's guardian and mom or guardian and whomever. It will reach out to both, not just the number one person. So that kind of doubles our contacts. And we want to do that and support it in that way because we've already paid for that service, so it doesn't cost us by the call. We can do that as often as we want to. We're going to put it in the paper, be publicized at the library and by them on their Facebook and social media and on ours. And we already put it, Ms. McCann's most recent newsletter contains the information about it. If you scroll down in there, you'll see it there too.
And y'all have a separate company that's writing the grants for y'all? Was that the way that's working?
They hired a consulting group. I can't call the name of it. They have initials, but they originally worked with the tribal groups, and I don't know exactly which ones, and so their tribal is in their name, but they consist of some very professional people who have a background in broadband and providing it on a large scale, you know. And so they're also working with Beneath, I apologize, that's his first name, I can't say his last name, with the State Department, who is overseeing the gumbo funding pot of money and the process of filing for this grant. And it's due December 31st for the first round. So we are trying to get data to support our need immediately, as quickly as we can.
And I think a resolution from the board will show that we're all on the same team. We're all working together. Kind of just a lot of numbers. There's power in numbers when everyone's on board. So
Yeah.
that will definitely help with that grant writing process if we're, contributing.
I'll make a resolution that we show our support, but I'm gonna let somebody write it up.
Yeah, Mayor's gonna write it up for us.
I'll write it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a second?
Hey, Dick,
I'll
Yes.
second.
ask Mary, where's my shirt?
It's in my office. I was gonna text you that and tell you.
It's in her office.
She get an A for effort.
You get an A for effort.
Hey, it's there. It's done.
All right.
We had a motion and a second. Did y'all get that?
Yes, sir.
All right, all in favor?
Thank you.
All right, next item doesn't have a letter, but it's simulated school performance scores released.
Really? Yeah, really.
It was kinda in with the other one.
It's funny.
That's the reason I started reading it.
Baron, I'm gonna try to share my screen with you.
Okay.
So you can see.
Okay.
Here we go. Can you see this?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, good deal. Let's present. All right, Christy, you're up. Yes.
Okay, Friday, the State Department released our simulated school performance scores. Because of COVID and the year and a half that we've had, not having any scores in 20 and having so many kids virtual and everything that went on with the pandemic last year, they're considering them simulated. So they're not official, they're not attaching a letter grade to them, and everything you'll see will say simulated. Because we got a federal waiver for accountability for ESSA, that released Bessie from having to put forth those letter grades and it be an evaluated process as it has been in the past. And of course, the results can't be compared to any other year, and they won't be able to be compared to future years. So everything is going to show that this was a COVID year, and really, as we're going to look at this as a way to see where our kids are and where we need to get them in the future. So everything you're gonna see, and you have a sheet in your folder, or you should have a sheet in your folder, it says C19 simulated scores. You're gonna see C19, meaning COVID-19, in front of the scores. And so that way, everything we see from now on is gonna have that. We'll know that's that COVID year. When we're looking at kids, past, present, how they're doing, we'll realize that that was the impact of the pandemic on our scores for that year. So the differences in, this year's results, across the state, the rates of participation vary. Luckily for us, I think our participation rate stayed 95% and above for our kids. So luckily our kids came and tested even if they were virtual. But a lot of places in the state that didn't happen. Their participation rates were lower. So that, and then you had the hurricanes. We had the hurricanes and the ice storms and everything all in that 1 year. So it was just a really bad year for students. High school was affected because our formulas, we had several graduation requirements that were waived. LEAP 2025 for graduation requirements, certifications for Jumpstart students. We had a lot of waivers because of the missed testing in 20. So that affected some high school formulas. There was no prior year. So when we're looking at scores, we're having to go back to 19 to look at previous scores. So there were no prior year scores with the value added model that the state uses. So for 21, we didn't have a 20 score that we could use. And then ACT, again, affects the high school. A lot of kids didn't take ACT in 20, and some even in 21 because of COVID. They didn't take it on their own. We didn't take it in March for the state administration, so there was a lot of opportunities where they could have taken it that, we just didn't have that. So that could affect some scoring for high school too. So for statewide, the state put this out Friday when they released the scores. We knew they were going to be impacted. We knew there were going to be effects from last year with our kids and testing. The majority of schools and districts in the state, we knew they were going to decrease. We knew we were going to see a decrease in scores. So had it been official, had they put out letter grades, what the state was showing is that overall the state's SPS would have declined by 1.8 points. 71% of districts would have had a simulated district performance score that was lower than the 2019 scores. 70% of schools had a lower SPS than what their 2019 SPS was. And then of course it affected high poverty, high minority, and schools where they had more virtual learning. They saw more of a decline. It affected them more. So that was kind of the trends they saw overall. So that's a lot of districts and a lot of schools that scores were lower than they had been in 2019. So simulated SPS, what's it going to be used for? It's not official. They can't, like we said, be compared to other years, but it does give us actual data from our students, test scores, and that's to be used for our informational purposes and our planning purposes as we move forward. After a crazy year and a half, where are our kids at and where do we need to get them as we move forward? Because we're still looking at, it's late 2025, they're still supposed to hit mastery by 25. So we just need to see where we have to go to get to that point. So, good news, as a district, we were still a B. We had been a B in 2019, and so we're still a B. Our C19 district performance score is a 78.4, and you see that in 19 we were a 79.8. So as a district, we did not drop much for the crazy year that it was. So
We were tickled to only have a 1.4 decline.
Because, which I didn't get to look a whole lot at because they just released this Friday, but just the glance that at other districts, there were a lot of districts who dropped. So we were very fortunate.
And the state average drop was a 1.8.
Yeah.
And so that was,
Yeah.
you're right, please.
And then the next is what you have on your sheet. This is the individual schools. So the state is not putting out letter grades, but we attach the letter grades so that you could see where those numbers fall. So everything you see in the newspaper and that the State Department puts out, they're not going to have the letter grades on there. It's just going to say the C19 and the number that's behind it. But as far as our schools go, everyone maintained, except for the junior high, and they grew 3 points and were able to break into the C barrier. So they are actually a C, where they had been a D in the past. The high school stayed an A. So we're still an A at the high school. And Union Central actually grew 3 points. The range is a 60, you have to have a 60 to get to a C, so they're moving in that direction, they grew. So our schools did very well. You know, we're very proud of what they did in that crazy year that we had.
We were super excited that our two lowest performing schools, the junior high and Union Central, actually showed growth. Not many schools showed growth. Actually,
And it was about, I think
yeah.
both of them were around 3 points.
Yes,
They were right about
yes.
3 points that they grew.
So we definitely want to commend, them. Of course, they had the partnership with ANET and the coaching, so a lot of work has been going into those schools, but to be able to grow in spite of everything else there was just huge. And when you have to wear that letter D, it hurts. And so we were so excited for our junior high to finally push over to a C. Now, of course, they don't get to wear it because it's simulated, but they're going to celebrate it like if they're wearing it. And so we're excited about that. We'll make note that we did see quite a decline at Columbia, stayed in the same letter grade, but the number of points that were dropped, and so as a result of that, the state actually awarded us, was it $50,000? If you want to talk about that a little bit about what the work.
Yeah, they got $50,000 because of the decline. And so we met and decided, the district team felt that spending that money for an ANET partnership for them to put the same work in, so they don't get the leftovers with me. They actually get a ANET partner and coach that comes in and works with the leadership team and the teachers. So we're actually kicking off, I think it's next week, our initial meeting with Miss Whitten, Miss Baker, myself, and the ANET coach. And then when we come back from the holidays, the teachers will have a kickoff and, with a partnership.
Another benefit of us having to wear that D at the junior high another year, because it's a 2019, is we'll still be eligible for that money, which means we'll still be able to pay the ANET coach out of that money. Because, with D's and F's, you're rewarded money. It's just that you have to have, wear that letter grade. So it's kind of a win-win.
At the bottom, or in the middle actually, you'll see the letter grade scale, the current scale that we're on now. And that's going to continue. It was supposed to change over for the 2022, the testing cycle, but they've postponed that. So now the transition will be 2023. So when the students test in the spring of 2023, the schools will be graded on the new scale unless something changes. And then the 2025, we'll see whether or not they keep that on track due to everything else that's gone on. But you see that the numbers go up. To keep an A, you would have to have a 95, and then with 2025, you would have to have 100. So those numbers go up as we continue toward that 2025 mark.
And we've been talking about that shift for a while. I don't know if y'all remember, but we've been talking about since they changed the letter grades that there was going to be a shift in the year and a shift in the year. It was supposed to be this year, and we begged and pleaded, and they postponed it a year. So, but the bar keeps moving, So it's wanted to make sure we had that out there for you to know that what we have now is going to change. We have to keep working hard, to move forward.
So if you have a simulated 2021, and you can't use that as comparison to anything, then 2022, what will they compare that? They drop back to 2019?
Well, I think what they're going to do, we're going to be looking at this. For us, we'll look at 2021, what we did. The state just doesn't want to call it the SPS because then they would have to attach the letter grade, and they promised they wouldn't do that because of what all had happened. But for us and what we're doing and planning, we're going to look at it.
Which we all kind of think, all you got to do is pull out your letter grade scale.
All you have to do is look at the scale and tell
anybody can do
what the
that.
letter is.
So, but I guess that was just their way of protecting our feelings. So,
The state promised they wouldn't put out the letter grade, so they're not putting out the letter grade. But they're still giving.
But they'll use the
still
numbers
know,
in
yeah.
2021.
Yeah, but we'll still know.
They'll still use the same numbers.
Well,
Still scale,
like the junior high and Union Central, their classification based on 19 still carries forward until 2022. So really and truly, what they make in 2022 determines if they are still going to be in that if they're a UIR
UIR,
school or CIR school based on 19.
That's crazy.
It is. Oh, there's, I think there's one more slide. Yeah, awards. So, 2 of the schools received awards for, their scores. Grayson Elementary was a top gains honoree, and that means that they made an A of a 94.2 in their progress index. And their progress index is based on, are their kids reaching their goals toward mastery? So, which means that Grayson, they're moving, the kids are moving. If they had a 94 in their progress index, then the students are moving toward that mastery.
They may not have made it to a basic, which gives you points, but they made
their goal.
Made their goal.
Whatever their progress goal was. And then the high school is an equity honoree in that they had 3 subgroups that showed growth overall. And that's like students with disabilities, economically disadvantaged. So they had 3 of their subgroups that showed growth over the year.
Overall, we are very, very proud
We fared very well.
of our students and teachers and administrators, because it was not an easy year. And for us to basically hold our own and have some growth in there, we're tickled.
Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Christie. Good job.
All right, item E is the financial update.
Oh, okay. Looks like that page here, 5 pages. I'm gonna go over the first one, is a recap of all of it. A lot of weird little things comparing this year to last year. General fund, the first 3 columns are current year, last 3 columns are last year. Last year, we had a one-time transfer for $221,000, that was that $850 check that we paid to everybody. 600 that came out of sales tax fund. So in the 5.1 million, right above that under revenues fiscal year 21, the 221,000 is in it. So in order to compare it to the current year, I backed it out. The second item, software error, that's in red, $349,000. We hadn't made, no amount of money went out the door, so to speak, but it was charged as an expense, and it's related to OGB. We had a $1,000 premium or benefit to the employees that the school board pays under one of the policies. It's done one time a year, January 1st, and then we have new employees during the year, and they're eligible to pick that up. Well, for some reason it started, and September was right, it was around 38,000, which kind of mirrors where we were for picking up new employees. But then we started adding all of the employees in August was that month. We added 100,000 in September for expense, October and November. So we got an extra 349,000 that's in expense that's being backed out. So it'll be corrected supposedly in December. Where did I lose you? It's an accounting software error that popped up.
He was a little lost.
So it's weird, I acknowledge. There's a whole lot of detail right there. So you can trust me. It's being reversed.
I'll come see you.
I was concerned last month. I didn't know what it was. I didn't have time to research it. This month I researched it and finally figured it out. Called the software people and said, y'all gotta fix this, because I want to do a journal entry to fix it all, because it needs to run through the payroll module. So anyway, that's the reason we didn't fix it in the general ledger module. And finally, the blue line, MFP, that was transferred to launch. We did that earlier in fiscal year 21. We haven't done it in the current year, $250,000. Sales tax fund, again, that one-time transfer, I'm adding that back on, which is obviously what we did for general fund. Not yet recorded, that's item B, $217,000. That's the current year, or the current month sales tax that we have received, but it's not been booked, because we had an early meeting, but I didn't know the amount. And Kaylee must have called me early, forcing me to print this real quick, because if you see, it did not print off on that third column, fiscal year change. That should have $217,000. That was in there. That bottom line number of $282,000 would be $443,000, which is comparable to last year's $475,000. I said $443, that's $493. Lunch fund is doing pretty good. It's $183,000 compared to last year's $326,000. both deficits, but that's where it's supposed to be. Maintenance fund, those are also running comparable with prior year. So overall, we're doing okay. Two more things. In a prior meeting, I said that we're gonna be doing two $500,000 CDs. Well, I missed the November one, so we're just gonna do one CD for $1 million in December. And instead of doing it for a year, we're gonna do it for 6 months. That way we'll mature in May, whenever we have more cash flow issue. Right now, we're getting all this cash, and we have three $1 million CDs that mature at this time. But we're fixing our property tax money, so we're fixing to have a lot of money in cash. So we move it 6 months away from now, it'll coincide whenever we're writing, summer checks. Let's see. And then next month, I'm gonna hope to bring y'all a list of land items that we have that we would never use again, as far as whether y'all want to sell them. And we're not talking about big numbers, we're talking about, 2 or 3 acres here, 2 or 3 acres there. Old school sites from probably 50, 60, 70 years ago, none of them even have buildings. So anyway, just need y'all's input on that, whether y'all say yea or nay, I don't care. But again, we're not gonna get rich. It gets them off our books. Theoretically, it lowers our insurance. It definitely would involve, you know, if there was an accident there, obviously we would get hung with it, then our insurance rates would go up.
Well, Nick,
Yes.
why don't David meet with the Building and Grounds Committee, then they just recommend something to the board?
Okay.
Who's on that committee?
I think Gary,
I don't have them memorized.
Kaylee will look up the
Owner?
yeah. But
Is that with the athletic committee too?
No, I think the building,
I don't think that's me then.
yeah, I think, well, it's you, Randy, and I think it's Judith that I thought.
Look at that, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Good
But I
suggestion,
will,
Darren.
I
Good
can go.
suggestion.
Okay, that's all we got.
David's wife must not be there tonight.
That's right, she's not.
All right,
Good,
David.
good of you to notice.
Okay.
All right, item F is district leaders update.
All right, let's start. Monica, okay?
Lot going on, at Kelly, we've got 52 children that are in the Head Start program involved. 10 Head Start kids at pre-K that are coded as Head Start, so that gives a total of 62, so we're still 33 short of our funded enrollment. We've got 6 or 7 that have been calling, they're turning 3, January, February, they're interested in coming, so we're gonna do another push for those kids to try to pick that up. Our class that we talked to you about last month that with the ESSER funding, we've got those kids coming in and doing their paperwork and things. We'll start it when we return in January. It already has 12 kids in it. So, and of course, they needed a date because they can't just walk out on daycare. This is in daycare, so that gave them some time to let them know, and they just won't return to their daycare in January. So, that's good. 102 at the pre-K. The daycare, our type 3 daycare has opened. I'm not sure they've got kids yet, but they've been having open house and some kids come in. So we'll have to get with them because we haven't had one, but they are under our jurisdiction or whatever to help with them and to, some things we have to oversee with them. So we'll get with them and get some things set up for spring, so they'll start being part of our reporting on just the letter grades like Christy was talking about. We don't get a letter grade yet. We do get a number grade, and ours came out as well. So the pre-K was already high proficient, which would be a B. They grew 0.81, and they're like 1.2 from being a excellent, which would be an A. But we don't have letters on ours, but there's 4. Classifications. The Head Start, Kelly, they grew, and for all purposes, we try to refer to it as Kelly Early Childhood because it's not just Head Start, especially now. But that school is considered a Head Start site, so that's how they're ranked in there. They grew 0.28, and they were proficient, so they bumped up, say, from a C to a B. The pre-K is on the upper end of that score, the Head Start is on the lower. But so next year, when we get our score, that daycare will have a score and will be in there, and that will affect our overall district score for our early childhood programs. So we'll be working with them and doing some training with class and the things that they'll have to be monitored on. So we're excited about it though, because it's definitely gonna be good for our parish. So, do you want me to mention the Head Start,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
just so y'all know, Head Start rewrote part of their performance standards to reflect that all Head Start employees must be vaccinated. And anyone over the age of 2 in the program has to wear a mask. It had been recommended, so we weren't making the kids wear them other than on the bus because there was already the federal rule about that. But now all the children at Kelly have to wear a mask at all times unless they're eating, sleeping, or playing.
Do you have to wear them outside?
Playing outside, yeah, they take them off. So we got the lanyards to try to keep them from being all over everywhere. And they're so tiny. We ordered some, that's why I was showing them. They're like this wide, you know, because they're little. They're so little. But the employees are having to wear the mask as well. All employees are supposed to be vaccinated by January 30th, 2022. We've heard it, and so we've been working with that staff was pretty much probably 80% vaccinated anyway. We heard it, we kind of hoped it would go away, but we didn't want to ignore it and then all of a sudden say, okay, what are we gonna do? So we've let them know. We've had people move in the parish to other positions. Right now, there's only one person that's still there that is not vaccinated and does not intend to be. So she's got till January 30th right now, but we've been talking to John Geis because, you know, legally, because she said she's not quitting. So, you know, where does that leave us?
I think that's her right. in
Right.
my opinion.
And we totally
Right.
understand.
And we understand it.
It's
It's
not-
not
it's
the
not a
school
pro-
board.
yeah.
Well, she
This
needs
is-
to get
this is a
involved
federal
with somebody
It's a
that
Federal
federal
mandate.
be around somebody that have COVID. And she wouldn't make it, I guarantee it. Her rights would be going all to hell. Once you see somebody that, like my wife, if she hadn't had that vaccine, she's been dead. They need to see people that have had the COVID, whatever it is,
Right.
and it's not nice. My wife's still suffering from that. And this is not to elicit any kind of sympathy, but if I'm around your child, I don't need to be around your child because it's my personal feeling about getting vaccinated, and that could possibly kill your child. No.
She didn't want to move to another position.
Well, there were only so many
What-
positions available.
I
Go
And
ahead.
they, you know,
I understand.
so she did talk to some people, but
I understand.
yeah.
Mayor?
Was it Baron?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask a question. So what happens if they don't fall under the religious exemption? Cause I'm like this, you know, I got it, but if somebody else don't wanna have it, it's their right not to get it.
That's
Whether
my
I-
thing.
whether
I got it.
Whether I like it or not. So my thing is, if they fall under what the rules and the ramifications are, then, you know, they have to make that choice if they don't wanna get it. So if they don't, is that, willful neglect to do it, or how, are we still looking at it?
John is working on it for us. We really just kind of hoped it would go away. Because I'm like you. I mean, I'm vaccinated. I'm definitely pro-vaccine, but I'm pro-choice. You know,
Right.
you do you, and I don't want to be in the business of having to
Right.
make these decisions. So John's helping us with this.
Okay,
So I don't know.
okay, when you find out something, just kind of give us some,
Oh, we will.
some
We will.
feedback. You know, what I would want to do is become, you know, real big and controversial.
Exactly.
Yeah, so if we can minimize, you know, much as we can, that would be helpful.
Yes.
What's the date we're looking at? January?
January 30th.
January 30th.
Originally, they had said there would be no exemptions, but you had to have it. And so once the final rule, they call it, came out, it did say that there could be religious exemptions, but we would have to have a Head Start policy for our program as to what that would be. And it couldn't just be that someone signed off, you have to show that you truly you're I guess a standing member of a church and you're an active member of that church, not that just.
But see, Nick, I disagree because a person don't have to be in church
That's
to
true.
have a belief.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
if they say that that's their belief, belief, then who are we to question?
Yeah, I agree.
And it also says that if you did allow, if they said for a medical reason they chose not to do it, they would have to at least be tested weekly. So, but that's not a definite yet either, that was just kind of.
I know. Waiting for guidance from John Geis, but definitely just wanted y'all to know, because this all just, materialized.
Thank God it's warm.
I know. Yes.
About that way.
You good? Anything else? Yeah. All right, Sandra, you got anything?
I don't have anything.
All right, America's Top.
She's always wonderful.
Christy, do you have anything else? No. Kim?
I don't. I mean, we talked about, the 50,000 earlier, and, we're in the middle
You
of
okay, Dawn?
doing, formal
Keep
observations.
feeding the candy,
So those are going great. We're seeing some great things.
All right, thank you. Rebecca?
Just want to brag on some folks real quick. Monica and I have been talking a lot between Head Start and Pre-K. We have about 15 to 20 kids that it looks like are gonna be added to our service list. And while it's a lot, early identification is what we want, because the sooner we can get these kids what they need, usually the bigger the impact is. And I'm so grateful that they have this 3-year-old and 4-year-old program going where we can push these wonderful therapists and teachers we have in with these kiddos. I don't think Tanya Green's sleeping right now, trying to get all of these evals out before January. Oh, I can't remember what the date is, but even though it's a lot of work, we're excited about that. And then I want to brag on Charlie Amos too. He's one of the people that we picked up with some of this ESSER funding. And I know one of the big issues we had at the high school last year was a lot of my students, that fell under special education, just got into, coming back and forth from virtual and that sort of thing. They didn't earn a lot of credit. We had a lot of kids really struggle, a lot of kids not complete assignments, and he's another person, I don't think he sleeps very much either, but he has done this really crazy thing where he tracks every single student that has missing assignments once a week and sends that out. And so my 2 teachers that have been there, and then my little extra folks that we have there, have been just drilling down, and I think that it's going to be incredible to compare last year to this year with the kids, with the credits that they're earning. I mean, they're just doing a really good job. So I'm excited to see that as we get closer and closer to midterm, how few kids we have in comparison to last year that are struggling to earn those credits right now. So, it's good stuff.
It's a lot of hard work and a lot of people working together to make sure that these kids stay on track. So we're blessed for sure. So,
All right, item G is superintendent's report.
okay. I don't have anything except for if we want to talk, Randy, about kind of our capital improvement update.
Did y'all get your thing?
Okay,
So-
thank you.
So we should all be on the same page on that.
All right, good, thank you.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tell Randy, I don't respond to all that group mess, but I'm glad of what he did, and it's very good bag of information. So just keep doing what he's doing. That works out to where everybody's, well abreast of what's going on, and they got any question, they go direct to him before the meeting. So that should, eliminate some of that
Yeah,
prolonged stuff that we go through. So thanks, Randy.
Yeah, and I'll try and keep doing that, either each week or each other, as things change. If there's something that changes, then, then y'all know about it for sure. If it's not much of a change, y'all might not do.
So is this where you ask for a raise?
We appreciate Randy's been joining us on our Friday, 8 o'clock, which is like Fridays have become marathon day for us. And it's just because it's the only time we're really together. Everybody's, scattered. And we'll try to squeeze in 15 minutes for Randy to, in between those meetings, and so.
And I appreciate it. Y'all do a wonderful job.
Yeah, so we're working hard, we're working hard. 8 more days, or 7.5 more days to get through this end, so, but we're doing good. I mean, I'm so encouraged by where we are right now, so, lots of great things going on. So, that's it.
All right, I hear a motion we resign. Go ahead,
Hats
Brian.
off to you guys in that tumultuous years that we've had, the last 2 years, you coming in as an individual that's not, never been a superintendent, and, we got people that's been out there that's been superintendents, so to go through all of that and do what you've done with the school, and hats off to you again, like I told you, I'll give you flowers when I'm supposed to, and I just, hope that you keep doing what you're doing, and everybody else follows. So I'm proud of what I see.
Thank you. And I do love my job. I had this conversation this weekend about, I was like, I really love what I do. And I don't really know anything different than COVID. 1 month, that's it. So, but it helps when you have a good team like we do. So, thank you. All right, so next meeting, January 13th.
That's on the regular.
Regular, we're moving back. We're not gonna do these, Monday meetings anymore, cause Mike doesn't work on Mondays, and Merrick may, strangle me if I do this anymore.
I love
January the 13th, back on our regular, meeting, so.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Not all at
I got a
once.
second too, right here. All right.
Okay. Thanks, Barry. We'll see you later. Have a safe trip.
Everybody have a good Christmas.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas. Enjoy your ornaments from the junior